Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It's episode 137. What are we talking about this week, Katie?
It's more new movies.
That's right, on this week of Cup of RAD. Hey everybody, we're back. We're back for another week. And we have more new movies. How exciting is that?
Like multiple new movies.
Like, it's kind of strange, but kind of awesome at the same time. So one of the biggest things that this last week brought us, and if you've seen our Instagram, you've seen that I was able to score another Super 7 Baxter Ultimate Turtle, and Katie was able to get her Harley from the new Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, I have to add to my Harley collection.
Right?
I love that I have a Harley collection.
You do have quite the extensive Harley collection.
Yeah, it's
you probably have more Harleys than most do, actually, when it comes to, a garage filled with Harleys. But yeah, so check our Instagram. It's Cup of RAD. And you get to see some reels that we put on there last weekend.
That Super 7 Baxter was a huge find.
That's right. We were so excited to find it at our favorite shop, Toy Traders. Not an ad.
Sounds like an advertisement.
I know, right? I want to get sponsored.
And Toy Traders.
I want to get sponsored by someone. Someone sponsor us so we can, create synergy.
Synergy. I like it. Coming together, working with each other. Look at that. Yeah. Synergy.
Right. So, but yeah, check out those reels on our Instagram, Cup of RAD. That's plain and simple, nice and easy. Find us there, right?
Right.
So, what ended last week? Big TV show ended.
Yeah, our weekly update is TV show based.
Yeah. So, what did you think of how that Disney Plus show ended?
The Disney Plus show known as Loki. You know what? Overall, I still really have good feelings, good vibes from the show. I'm really happy with it. I'm a little, I don't know if it conflicted. I don't want to use disappointed. It was not as much fanfare and excitement, but at the same time, it was exciting. It's a little bit in between. Mm-hmm. I will take every chance possible to see anything to do with Loki. I love the character and I love the development of it and all the different concept and kind of the multiverse and all. I love all of that stuff. So I'm definitely still much more on the positive side for it. I think I don't, when I was watching it, I don't know what I really would have wanted that would have blown me out of the water. So at the same time, I like that it was a little bit more real feeling too. Yeah. So I'm still okay. I'm still happy with it. One thing I did like though was that they didn't go against the core of the characters that they had developed. There was conflict, but it wasn't like, they were completely different at the end than what they kind of started out. They were softer and had changed, but Sylvie wasn't suddenly completely ready to give up her plan that she's had, a millennia to deal with and to focus on. Right. So I did like that though, because if she had suddenly been like, okay, sure, let's just walk away. Yeah. It would have been like, yeah, that didn't feel real. Yeah. So I did like that. Yeah. What about you?
Well, one thing I thought that was really cool to see is that the realization that this Loki variant is the same as the regular timeline.
Yes.
The idea that there is something that spurs in this version of Loki that turns him somewhat good.
He's destined to come
redemption,
around, basically. Yeah.
Right.
He keeps because he wasn't that different feeling than our other version that we
choked out Loki. Through. We'll call him now.
Choked out Loki?
Yeah.
Oh, so sad.
That's how I'm going to refer to that one.
Purple Loki?
Purple Loki? So I thought that was kind of a cool thing to see. It was and this come around happened almost faster for this variant because of the things that he was dealing with.
So pushed into
crises,
it, right?
Yeah. and what
and
he
with that
knew,
though, it
right?
shows though that he's still always destined to be that same version.
Yeah.
Right. So no matter what, it just takes the time. But that one eventually, no matter what branch he takes, will get to that path. It's just a matter of how long it will take for it. Right.
Exactly.
Which is kind of interesting then to see all the different versions of Loki. That he's almost the same version, just different options of how it's like the pick your own adventure, right?
Yeah.
You still end up at the same ending, but you don't know how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
So I thought that's
so we're gonna get this one's gonna get choked out then too.
Probably.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing that may have made the ending a bit more grand, honestly, when they decided to crack open the multiverse. Mm-hmm. Was if they had been a way for them to have shown
a little bit more of it.
Some of them, like something that had like almost tapped into, or you could see with those strands, maybe seeing ribbons of things, but then that's too much planning, right? Yeah. That's having stuff pre-done. Because you don't want to show something that looks so cool and then not have it, not ever show it, and people are like, man, I really want to see that world. What do you think
of the fact when he got back to the place
that he's most likely in a different timeline?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because that was the one that was on the temp pad that Kang had, right?
Yeah.
So then. And then that one had like the version of a more Malevolent looking like Kang almost. Mm-hmm. Was that his actual timeline?
Oh,
that he was from? Like
that version? Yeah. Like, it's trippy.
So there's going to be lots. I hope that this turns out to really be the fourth, whatever is the fourth phase or whatever, the next phase.
Yeah.
I hope that we actually get to see this version, like Kang, show up in multiple forms, in multiple movies.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if he was actually, telling, because his story that he told, like, he was an interesting character for sure. Yeah. He did a good job, especially the actor did a great job of playing him, where you really wanted to believe him. Yeah. That this was, you were taking this big gamble of whether they should do this or not. Yeah. And it is hard because you don't want, one side of the coin, he is deciding who lives and who dies. Yeah. And it's all up to him and his power. And then the other chance of it being all out war and making a worse villain, the lesser of the two evils feel. And like, it is a definite crisis because there wasn't a right and a wrong choice.
No.
And I liked that realness to it though, right? That there wasn't like, oh, he's clearly a bad guy. Yeah. Because like it wouldn't have made sense. Yeah.
I truly hope we get to see him a little closer to comic booky.
Yeah.
With the blue.
Well, that was the thing. Right. Like I kept hearing, I kept, you're like, well, you should know who this is. And I kept wanting to say Kang, and I didn't know why. And like when I did say that, I'm like, okay, well, that's why I didn't really understand it, because he didn't really seem like it was a character I was supposed to know. And when we saw a picture of him, and it would definitely be, he's so different looking, but then maybe there is more of a, evil version of him that maybe looks a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
Or something.
The only one that's confirmed that he's is in Ant-Man 3 Quantum Mania. So,
okay.
But I'm assuming everything going forward is going to be dealing with the cleaning up of the multiverse, or that
branch
problems.
Pretty damn quick, eh?
Yeah. So
it's pretty crazy.
I'm curious to see what it'll bring. I'm dying to see when we're going to get the trailer for Spider-Man Far No Way Home.
Yes.
Because, like,
soon
is it going to be part of any of this? Or is it going to be the multiverse?
Well, this has to be it, I mean, it has to have ramifications for it. And I'm so we're getting to the end of this, and I was like, really? They're going to leave it like this? And like, normally if there was another TV show, okay, well, I can trust that it's going to be in a movie, but this isn't going to be like in itself wrapped into a movie. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy that there's going to be a season 2.
Season 2 stamp.
Bring on the Loki.
More Loki. He recently said that he'll play Loki as long as they'll let him.
I saw that.
So
do it forever, Tom.
Fair enough. But I like the show. It was quirky and weird. I know that they came out and said that there was a lot of problems that came up due to COVID, so things had to been shrunk down and changed, and that's kind of part and parcel why there's going to be a season 2, because they hadn't really explored their entire journey. The director that directed all these episodes, she is not coming back.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
So it'll be a different
might be a different feel. Who knows?
Okay. Because I definitely want to know what happened to the main lady in charge there. She said she was going off to hunt, and then she just disappeared, right? So that's why I was more of like, okay, well, what? So
I'm curious to see if this will open up, like going and venturing to different timelines, different multiverses. If this will be almost like a Loki Doctor Who combo,
cool.
Rick and Morty, like Loki. You can totally see the Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty, yeah, that would be really cool,
right? Especially with him making out with himself.
Yeah.
Right. So,
side note, we've been watching the new season of Rick and Morty, and this season has been like exciting and so much better. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to the episodes. They've been really, really good.
Yeah, they've been really thought out better than season 4.
It's not been like, what did we just watch?
No, this season's been like, what did we just watch? Because it's been dark.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's not like, well, this was a waste of time, right? So it's been interesting, like they used to be. So
yeah,
I am. That's
season 4 is a gaslight year, just like Community.
Yeah, that is true.
Sorry. So yeah, that was our TV update.
Yeah. So there you go.
There's that.
That's done. And
so then we found on Netflix, it was a Wednesday release, so I don't know if they're trying to pull the Disney Plus route, but Karen Gillan's new movie, Gunpowder Milkshake.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a movie about assassins, hitmen, I guess, hitwomen.
It's like a female John Wick thing going on.
Yeah, basically that's pretty much your feeling with it.
They have like the rules and the secret society and the helping people and like the, you don't cross the rules and like all this sort of stuff. So.
Yeah. So it's on Netflix, so it's easy. It's a Netflix original.
Yeah. So
it's Lena Headey's in it, Paul Giamatti, and others. It is a bloody action fiesta.
Yeah, oh, nice. Yeah,
and as much as it's more humorous and quirky and stylized than, say, John Wick.
Yes, not nearly as dark.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot more like. Some shots feel very anime inspired.
Yes, I agree. It was like watching a comic book almost, and some of the shots are definitely very artistic flair to them.
It definitely doesn't have a lot of substance, really. Like the characters aren't super fleshed out.
Yeah.
But the action is pretty worth it, I think.
Yeah.
I had a blast watching it. It's one that I would say I would be close to watching again at some point, just because some of the action was pretty zany.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's probably like a 6 out of 10, I guess.
Well, I liked there was definite girl power in it. It was pretty awesome how many men she was kicking their asses for, and it was quite funny. She was so ingenious and very smart fighter. Yeah, and. And so the men, of course, were also buffoons. Let's be honest. Except for the one that was the kind of the big badass, that he definitely put up a lot more of a fight. Yeah. But it was interesting to see her ingenuity on how she was getting through things.
Oh, that whole scene in the bowling alley is just beautifully shot. The backlit neon.
It's so awesome.
Just as she, the pain, it's painful to watch the things that she does with the bowling ball.
Yeah.
So. But
she definitely uses her environment, and then in the hospital as well. Yeah. Like it's quite funny because at one point her arm is totally numb, and she can't move her arm, but she uses gravity to fling it about, and I thought that was really funny. Yeah. Because otherwise she'd be totally helpless, and you would assume that someone would be totally helpless, and yet I know she had help. Otherwise she would be. Yeah. Totally different story. But I thought it was quite funny to see, and you look at that and you're like, huh, wow, I never would have thought of that. Right. And the damage that she can do when you would think that she was going to be out and down for the count, right? Yeah. So, and then it's just got just a little bit of heart and family thing to it going on, just a little bit to give it some substance, but not too much to weigh it down and make it feel
too bogged down.
Yeah. So it was just fun and bloody action.
Yeah, it's a good one to sit down with some popcorn and just enjoy for 2 hours and just watch people get murdered.
Yeah, pretty much.
The final battle had some pretty epic brutality.
Yeah,
especially with the one with the chain.
Oh,
there was some. Oh, the hammer. The hammer.
Yeah.
That was almost reminiscent of like a few horror moments.
Yeah. That chain, though, it's pretty impressive. You can do a lot of damage with that.
Yeah, that's what you gotta learn how to do is fight with a chain.
Right?
Carry a chain with you. And
see, some of their action they do, and I'm like, oh, damn, I wish I could like learn some of these types of moves.
Like kill people with chains?
Not kill people with chains, but just like some of the, self-defense wise, that would be helpful. But yeah, just some of their actiony stuff, the swinging and kicking and jumping. And
you can.
I know I can.
You just have to invest the money into it. That's dead on.
Yeah, there's that.
That's that, right? So, but what would you say? Would you recommend this one to people?
I would. If you like that type of style with the blood and action type thing, I think it's super fun. It's to me, it has the girl power in it without being like nauseating girl power. It's because it's not. In the situation that they're in, it plays in the story okay, and it's just their small little group for them, and so that would be the only thing that could be a bit of an issue for something like that. But it's not like they're killing men because they're men; they're just killing them because they're assholes.
Well, but they're not that they're assholes, but they're there because they're being told to attack them because the guy's son's dead.
Oh, I know, right? So I mean, it started a battle, and it plays in that whole idea, though, that you're just it's another person being used for you're doing your bidding until suddenly the wrong person got in the way, and now all of a sudden they throw you under the bus. So it doesn't really matter on gender wise. It's just to me, it's more of like wow, you're capable of doing this, and the determination that they have, right? So it was super fun. I would recommend it.
Nice. So I had turned on. So Kid and I have been watching a lot of Wipeout. We've been trying to find more to watch. And we looked on Amazon, and then there was like old Wipeout on there. But when I went on Amazon, there was something on there that I was really excited to find out had shown up quietly.
Oh,
The Quiet Place 2 became an Amazon Prime exclusive.
I get this text. Kitty, the movie's on.
Okay, so The Quiet Place 2 was like my most anticipated movie before COVID shut down, right? Mm-hmm. And then it came back to theaters, but we hadn't opened theaters yet.
Yeah, we could go to Manitoba, and we could have watched it.
No, it was like Saskatchewan. Or the drive-in. The drive-in was available, but I wasn't going to drive an hour to the drive-in. To watch it in my car and not have, and we can't bring kiddo, and it was just chaos. So because he doesn't like those kind of movies, and this would freak him out beyond me. Because even though it's actually not too bad, it's only a PG-13 movie, and but it would just not. It's
but the
not
aliens are creepy.
Yeah. So, I was super excited to find out that it was available to
because we hadn't been able to watch it. It was just devastating to us.
So The Quiet Place 2 picks up right after the first one, but gives you a little prequel element, gives you a little bit of taste of what had happened before everything.
I really like
the invasion, right? And it was just a small enough, it reminded me of like a James Bond sequence.
Yeah.
Where you got just enough action and excitement to kind of like suck yourself in. And you got introduction to a few characters, and you got to see some things. So at the end of the day, I really liked Quiet Place 2.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it.
I think it moved really fast.
Yeah. And there was a lot of great shots where, especially with the original invasion, and then later on in the movie with the creatures, you got to really see some masterful, I'm going to say horror. Mm-hmm. Because there were scenes of terror, and it wasn't gruesome or gory, but it gave you a bit of the heebie-jeebies because you'd see something move in the background.
Yes,
and it was just enough
of it.
Yeah, it was like just enough to just be like, oh crap, there's something there.
Yeah,
right. There was a few frustrating moments because with a few hopeless, like seriously, just get it done, stop standing there and trying to be epic.
Yeah.
And the frustration, but the idea of the whole story, I think this time around, was the children coming to their own.
Yes, that was the point of the movie.
That was the plot, was that the idea that after everything that had happened with the first and what they learned from their father, now it was the time for them to stand up on their own two legs and become something more. Right. So there was
because they're getting to that point now with the baby that they're gonna have there's a hole in the family to fill, and to protect them a little bit more.
Yeah,
she can't go off all the time, and kind of stepping up and finding new ways to try to have that courage and move forward. Right.
Yeah. Out of it, I would probably give it about an 8 out of 10. Quiet Place to me was more like a 9 out of 10. So Quiet Place 2 is a little less, only because the Quiet Place, the first one, was that originality factor, right? And there were just a couple more jumps and scares in the first one that actually made it feel more horror. Yeah. This went more on like a little bit more of the action route, feel more.
Yeah.
But I like that it never expanded to the point where there was too many characters, because you know how some sequels, they get sequel bloat.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's like we're adding 4 new characters that we want to care about, and we can't, and
then like no one gets time. Well, it literally was just like one character that was added that you really were supposed to meld with, and everyone else that shows up are all background.
Well, and he just fit right in with their story.
Yeah. Because he was introduced properly in that opening scene.
Exactly.
So I really liked it. It was definitely a satisfying watch.
Yeah, I'd be something to watch again for sure, because to see it all play out, good acting, good suspense.
Yeah,
for sure.
The suspense was there, and I think that's what I really liked about it, was that it wasn't frustrating, and like say the Tomorrow War where I felt frustrated,
where it was just like, oh my god, stop.
Right? This was like I was on my edge. I was like, it was like right. So they're supposed to be doing a third one. The writing partner is going to be taking over directorial duties, so I don't know. I'm already hesitant because, especially what happened with Conjuring. Yeah. I'm kind of in that, like, do we need the third one? Kind of feel. Yeah. Because I'm kind of scared that it'll go the way of so many threequels that shift their writing directorial team.
Well, because I don't know if it will possibly have a little bit more bloat then, if they're going to move as the kids being the main characters,
because they might be going in their own
or so is it going to have like 2 separate stories, or are they going to stick together? Or is it going to be something that's the rally to try to kill the aliens overall? That's one thing that I am just repeatedly shocked by, is how fast these things are and how quickly they show up with the slightest sound of noise and then just utterly destroy something. It's not like they're hunting and they're eating. Yeah. They're just destroying things. Yeah. Like, they are super terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Like how when it showed that opening sequence when they first showed up and they just ripped through the town, like the amount of people that would have died within hours of them landing is just astronomical.
Yeah. So unless they're going to show like even more of like how it destroyed like some cities or something, like that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I worry about
can you imagine in a city rather than just a town, like where there's just people, like New York, village, what would have happened in New York if it was just
and then you think about that and you think, well, then you could really tell some amazing stories. It's kind of like, to me, it could easily become, and it could be too much if done incorrectly, but it's kind of like The Purge, or like I want side movies where you find out more about other things and you see other towns, not just like main location.
Like a town is relatively quiet anyway. A city is always making noise. Can you imagine all of a sudden seeing New York having to be dead silent?
Yeah.
That would be eerie.
Right? And how impossible it would be.
Right?
So
it'd be interesting.
Totally.
But I know they're not going to go that route, but still we can.
Yeah. At the same time, I guess the idea is that we're so used to seeing like apocalypses take place in big cities. We don't see them in like villages almost. Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like the idea that they had to begin with it. It is interesting because it definitely has a different feel.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally. But I'd recommend it. If you like the first one, I think it's on par with it. It's telling a great story, and it's one of those cinematic gems I think that we have been in the last few years gotten, and especially to have a sequel do as well, right?
And the last movie?
we went back to Netflix because the third Fear Street dropped.
Yep, had to finish that one.
Yeah. So Fear Street 1666.
Yes.
Where we last left our heroine. She had bled on the bones and was transported back to 1666.
Yeah, she got to see basically the life of Sarah Fear right before the tragic ending of her life and see the story basically. Mm-hmm. And instead of, then it was the first hand in seeing the truth and not just reading in it somewhere or,
being told. And
yeah. So I thought that was an interesting take on it, that a way to show it back then without it, because no one else would have known that story. So then by doing that, it was more of just the immersion into the past rather than being told a story like they say they did with the camp one, where they were just being told a story.
Yeah.
So it was a good way to do that, but then still allowing for the jump back to current time to finish up and cap the story. So I
that was a little jarring though when they suddenly did the part 2 1994.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, wait, I don't remember part 1 sitting on there, honestly. So
yeah.
But yeah, so it jumps back and you get to see, Sarah, the town and beforehand, and how everyone, she's a little bit of a different character. She's definitely a very strong girl, kind of different minded and kind of a free spirit feel. Liked by some, disliked by others, because of her obviously not really going against, with the flow of things, I guess. And then they're going to have this, the teenagers are having a party in the woods.
Right.
Just like now, just go out and take drugs and dance by the fire.
Like every horror movie. Let's go into the forest and smoke weed and have premarital sex.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what has to happen, right? But apparently there is a witch type healer that lives in the forest. And that's where they go and get their whatever hallucinogenic berries. Mm-hmm. And she sees a magic book, and I thought that was going to be a little bit more of she was going to have done something at that time, but then it was more of just I know about something, so I have that knowledge to go back to, right? Yeah. So, but basically things go wrong after that next night, because they end up So the same character, the same actors and actresses play different characters from back then. So they take the main actress and she just plays Sarah Fear in place. And then her girlfriend from 94 plays the pastor's daughter in the past, who they have looking eyes at each other.
Sarah Fear's girlfriend.
Sarah Fear's girlfriend, apparently. And so Sarah Fear saves her from this unwanted attention from one of the villagers, and he gets all scorned. Then they take off and end up making out in the woods. And so it's the idea that they get caught, essentially.
Yeah.
And then things start going all haywire in the village the next morning.
Yeah, so they feel that the village has been cursed by a witch.
Because the pastor has all the flies around him. He's all kind of dead looking, and they don't know what's going on. The food's all rotten and molded, which was really gross. So everything is starting to go wrong. The well the dog had died and is in the well, and that's all poisoned, and all sorts of horrible things are happening, right? So, so then naturally everyone loses their mind.
Yep. Yeah. So there were some good elements in it. I really was enjoying this one.
Yeah.
This series I think has been fun. It's goofy.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent of old horror movies.
Yeah, it's not.
The only thing that this one, I was expecting this one to be a little bit more arty, because it was emulating more of the witch or the Midsummer kind of vibe feel, that thinker horror, I guess you would say. So I was expecting it to be a bit more arty, but it was shot pretty much the same as...
It was a bit standard.
As the other one, the 1994, right? In more the modern shot.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of art to this one.
Yeah.
But I liked how it went. I had fun with it. It was a fun horror watch. I didn't ever really feel bogged down with too much ridiculous that made me go, okay, let's just like I'm done. Like,
yeah, I liked the twist with it. I liked the story progression, because on a philosophical deep analogy level, it was interesting to talk about the idea, almost like we even talked about like the trauma, the idea of someone, you know, kind of planting the seeds of hatred from the past, and then how it can just cause ripples in the future. The idea of the curse was representing that, and how one side, you know, say a group of people or something like that, can just keep having problems over and over again. But the initial hatred, because I mean, back then it was still just talking about homosexuality, and then something is being wrong with them, of course, and they're, you know, the devil's with them and all this sort of stuff.
Originally, It wasn't even that. It was just the guy was scorned. He didn't get
and that's the problem, is that it turned into that. Yeah. But it's that basic level that still happens today, unfortunately, is that problem that, and that you know, it's we're fighting against it, but the man was scorned, and then twisted the story as if to blame her for it, and she was basically, you know, she called me into the woods, and then all of a sudden they were dancing with the devil, and they were both there now, and like it's her witchcraft because he did nothing wrong and she was tempting me, and it was...
I'm too embarrassed to admit I'm a loser.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but no one else needs to know. Yeah. And then none of the kids knew enough because they were on drugs too, and then to be able to stand up and be able to do anything about it, because then you have the loud, boisterous people and you get enough of them that understands and supports the guy, and then so it's like this very basic story that still happens now, told in a different way. And
I don't doubt that that's how a lot of women ended up dying of witchcraft.
I 100% agree.
Was just because someone didn't like someone and they went and crafted this story,
because it wasn't hard for that story, right? It just came naturally in the way it talked, and then you get someone riled up, because especially if something goes wrong, it's much easier to blame that than it is to blame a natural phenomenon or just bad luck or something of that nature. And a lot of them, if they got too caught up, they were very religious, of course, back then too. It was easier to blame the devil was with someone rather than to say God was doing something against them, right? Yeah. Because God couldn't have done anything against me, so Satan must be doing something to you, which is therefore then affecting me. Yeah. And so you add all that into it, and so it fit really well, and it progressed the story along, and it was just like, wow, this is just really crappy. Yeah. She didn't deserve any of this, right? But I really like the story of how it went along. It just wasn't, that original part one didn't have as much supernaturally horror to it until the very, very end, when you got the twist and you were just like, holy crap. Then it started moving a little faster, and then we got part two, where we're back now in 94 and they have to stop the curse, because now it is a curse, of course. And then you have all these other killers, and that was, I really enjoyed the part two though. It was interesting how
as a whole, as a movie, I would go probably about a 7 out of 10, honestly, out of it.
I'd watch them again.
They're totally fun to watch. For being what they're based off of and how they were able to craft them into this. They're solid horror movies. For that teenaged angst like time. Watching all three of these movies back to back, that was really kind of a treat, I think. But then I also look and I see these would make great mazes for like a Hollywood Horror Nights.
Oh, part two especially, right? Like of this last movie.
Yeah. I think any of them. Really. You probably, you could do you just do the scenes of all the murderers, walking through those, and then you get to that.
Well, you could do finale, the whole trilogy of a maze of the whole trilogy would be really interesting.
Yeah. You'd be quite or Scare Zone or something like that. Yeah. Like definitely, I think it could really be something.
The Scare Zone would be interesting with him because of being followed with all these different characters. At the very end, we actually got introduced to a few more of the past murderers. and we wanted to know more of them. There was a guy in you referred to him, the gas mask Lurch.
Yeah.
You wanted to know more of their
Plague
story.
Lurch.
So it's like, where he was
so massive,
so huge,
and
right?
like he looked like a Frankenstein's monster,
right?
And then you had the milkman, the burnt milkman,
and the creepy kid,
Yeah,
and, I want to know more.
And like that wall had more names than ghosts that we saw.
Yes,
right. So there's tons more that could have came out of the black ooze.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So.
There was a lot of names for 300 years in one town like that. Like, it was impressive. Like, why wasn't there one every decade almost at that rate? Then they had to have.
Yeah.
So I don't know, why there wasn't. But
maybe these were the bad of the bad.
Yeah.
Worst of the worst.
Well, because even with that, though, I mean, yeah, I guess then, they just brought out the really successful ones or scary ones. But even just now in the back, they only talked back to Camp Nightwing. Well, what about, in between that or something like that? Right?
Yeah.
But who knows? I really liked the end twist.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. It had some good suspense. It had some good action. As much as we kind of, the first one we were like, we really could care less about the characters necessarily.
They grew.
I liked the development of them. They did grow on me, and it was like, oh, okay, we're good. You know.
I think this was a cool experiment because you only ever get movies filmed together if it's a big enough thing, like, Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, Matrix, like these big budget things. And yet they filmed all of these back to back to create this story. So this thing actually was back from 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it was originally a 20th Century Fox production.
Okay.
That between the companies there was some fallout, and then with the Disney buyout, the production company Sirion, I think it is, then was able to sell it to Netflix. Netflix was actually going to put it out over 3 months' time, and then suddenly decided to drop it as a weekly thing, as a gimmick. I think it was just to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
Right? And also, too, the second one wasn't supposed to be directed by the same director, but they had followed. So I think it came together. It was kind of cool to see it cohesive, even though, there was some bumps here and there with it, of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, they really flowed together well. It wasn't there wasn't the recap of the prior movies too. That was really nice. It was just 3 different chapters. Yeah. Of kind of 4, I guess, of the stories, and it really had that book come to life feel. Yeah. So
I really recommend it.
Which one was your favorite out of the 3 of them?
I think Nightwing was the most interesting.
That was my favorite.
But I still really got a kick out of the first one only because I like Scream. Yeah. And it reminded me a lot of Scream. Oh, okay. And it's then the second part of 3 is still part of the first one in a way. I don't know. I don't know if there's really a clear winner out of all of them, because it just felt like one 6-hour story.
I would never go and say, "Oh, we're just going to watch the second one." Yeah, it's going to watch all of them, and I really enjoyed the whole thing.
And you know what? I didn't realize at first. Jillian Jacobs from Community was Britta. She was in it. Yeah. So that's where we found Britta. Britta ended up, not living in New York, living in a small town.
Yeah. Her name is Iggy or Ziggy. Ziggy. Yeah. So
having her boggles. I really got a kick out of it. It was kind of fun to see. Did some reading and all that I guess R.L. Stein, he had they tried for years to get TV shows and movies based off of Fear Street, and nothing had come up, and there was always problems. And then he decided he wanted to relaunch the series back in 2014 or so, and no one would pick up his stuff because the production, all the publishing companies, only wanted Hunger Games and Twilight. Oh yeah. So he tweeted about it apparently, and then company was like, whoa, we'll do it. And so he relaunched it. So there's new stuff that came out after 2015 as well. Nice. That was more in the line of the gore and all that for it. So I seen a quote from him basically. What is advice you give to like a upcoming author? Because like he himself even has made like, I'm not the best author. I just can churn out a book fast. Like his Goosebumps and stuff like that.
Volume.
But like you got to give him props. Of it. Like I think he says he can do like a Goosebumps in a day.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like to think that, like I know it's only a 200-page book, but that's
a lot of writing and a story, a cohesive story.
Just to be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna write like a 250-page book in one day. No problem.
Right.
But he's like, because everyone always says that you need to just write every day, and he's like, if you write every day, it becomes a job and it doesn't become fun. Write what you find is fun, and the stories will come.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a cool thing to think of, right? Like to realize that.
Well, because it shouldn't be something that you force yourself on. It should be something that does come naturally.
Especially if you struggle, if you're like struggling or having a hard time with it, like that's good. Just write what you find fun, and eventually you'll find your feet. Like, it's like it's a consistency without making it feel like work. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you're not having fun at the gym, it's just work, and you're not going to want to go.
Yeah.
If you go and have fun, you're going to then find success.
Yeah.
Or with anything you do, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like the less fun you have, what's the point then?
Yeah.
Unless you're getting paid so much money that it doesn't matter.
And with that, I mean, even if you do make a decent amount, like a lot of money on it, then there's that obscene stress to make sure you repeatedly follow that up. So you need to find a level that you can consistently deliver on too. Yep. Right?
So, but yeah, so I just thought it was interesting. Little.
Hey, you know what? He was a very successfully well-known author. It's worth listening to any advice he has.
Oh, you know what?
So
I'm not published. I'm not going to give the guy shit for anything.
No, he found a niche and he ran with it.
I grew up on Goosebumps. I grew up on Fear Street. Like,
I didn't even like that style of book, and I still read a lot of them. Like, it was still something that was interesting. It fit no matter what. You could find different versions of it, but I read a lotot of Goosebumps.
Oh yeah, like I remember like kids like when it still date me, but they were like reading like Hardy Boy stuff, and I'm like. Where's my Goosebumps, right? Like I want some horror, I want some spooky, some goofy, so yeah, you gotta. Everyone has their own thing. We're all fans of something, and it's not all the same. Because if it was all the same, it'd be a boring ass world. So, but yeah, so the Fear Street trilogy is on Netflix, so I think it's worth.
I would recommend it too. Look at that, we have like good recommended movies this time.
Yeah.
No Cup of Rage this week.
No Cup of Rage. Not yet. We got nothing else to tell you about this week.
I know, it was nice and quick this time around.
We're going to take a week off, just kind of relax. We've got some hot weather coming up again, so won't be using the television as much.
Yeah.
But we do have preparation coming up for He-Man Revelations.
I'm super excited about this.
So that is where we will come back to you. We basically have a bit of a plan, so I'm going to give you a drop of a plan. We're going to come back with He-Man Revelations. Then we're going to come back with the Suicide Squad. Then we're going to be camping.
Yeah.
And I've already pre-recorded a couple episodes. A friend of mine came over, and we're going to drop a couple 2-part interview-esque nerd talk episodes.
Yeah, something a little different for you.
So that's going to round out your August. Look at that. I'm already setting you up. So you're going to get all that in your ear holes coming up next month. So you've got a pre-yippee-ki-yay.
Oh.
So stay rad, dudes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!